Welcome to Aspects of Writing with your host, James Kelly. Now, let's get writing. Here's your host, James Kelly.
Hello and welcome to Aspects of Writing. I'm your host, James Kelly. And on my show today, I have Patty Lesser. Patty Lesser? All right. And you're coming to us from Canada, is that correct?
Yes, Brantford, Ontario.
Oh, great. So, Patty, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and then we're going to get into your writing.
I have been writing since I could hold a pencil. I started out with poems, then moved to short stories, and then one day I had a dream, and I got up in the morning and wrote 12 hours a day for 4 months until the book was finished. When I found out it wasn't going to be a bestseller, I put it in a drawer and left it for a while. But to go back a bit, I met with a notable Canadian author when I was in university, and he liked my writing but suggested I experience life. So I left Canada at the age of 1920 and basically backpacked around the world for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
I stayed in youth hostels, I walked, I met people from all over the world. So obviously giving me lots of inspiration. When I came back to Canada, I worked in several jobs, but never quite happy. And then I decided to try to make a life out of writing. So I pulled out that old novel and I worked on it, and then other novels came to me, and now I have just published my 11th book.
Oh, great. So do you have family where you are, or?
No, my mother lives in another town. Not too far from me. My brother lives in Toronto, so I moved to this city not knowing anyone or anything. I had to make a fresh start, and I'm used to starting over, and that's what I built a life for myself here now.
Okay, so are you a full-time writer at this point?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. All right. All right, so I noticed that it said in 1980 you had the opportunity of meeting with Irving Layton.
That's correct.
Yeah, at the University of Toronto. And I think you mentioned that person, or at least that's who you were alluding to.
That's who I was alluding to, yes. I didn't know if anybody would know him outside of Canada, really. But brilliant man, brilliant.
Well, I like the idea that you really have traveled the world. You listed in your bio, you sent me Israel, Egypt, England, Holland, Belgium, obviously the United States, Australia, and of course, Canada. So you are from Canada.
I am born and raised in Canada.
Okay, all right. So where did you go in the United States when you came here?
I have cousins in New York, Boston, and California, and I've traveled quite a bit, going to places just in the United States. If I'm going somewhere, I usually take the long route and see other places.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to ask you, now you have the book, The Devil, Angels, and Demons. Is that out yet, or is that coming out?
That's out, yes.
Okay. And what about Devouring Time?
That is also out now, yes. These are the novels that I wanted to publish before we started this interview. So now, yes, they're all available on Amazon.
Okay, great. And I noticed that on your portfolio as well, you've been giving advice. Is that on writing for 25 years now?
No, I backpacked for 25 years. I have been with a writing group, and other people have sent me their work for review or for edit, and I decided, I might as well make this legal and become a writing coach. So yes, I can help someone who has an idea about a book or has written some part of it but got stuck and need advice about how to continue on.
Okay. Now, you wrote Coma Kids. That's a series.
The Coma Kids is a series of 3 books: That Truthful Place, The Gift of Thorin, and Through the Sphere, the 3rd book, which has just been recently published.
Now, are you a self-publisher or do you go to a traditional
I
publisher?
have been through 2 traditional publishers, and I didn't like anything they did.
Okay.
And, being self-published, I can write, get it edited, professionally formatted, get a good cover design, and I publish it when I want.
Right.
I don't have to wait, for a publisher to publish it. I can do it right away.
Right.
And the 3-book series will be coming out in a 3 ebook set.
Okay.
Shortly. My formatter is presently creating that file.
Well, when you do your ebook format, where do you go to put your ebook?
Amazon.
I'm going to recommend you to Draft to Digital, and that's Draft and the number 2 Digital.
Okay.
You'll get a bigger royalty through them, and they will distribute you all over the world on all your formats, including Amazon and Barnes & Noble, as long as you haven't gone there already.
Draft.
Yeah, Draft, DRAFT, 2, the number 2, and then Digital.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and the great thing about them is if you need to speak with them in person, you can get someone right here in the United States in Oklahoma City. Just tell them Aspects of Writing sent you, James Kelly. Yeah, and that's what's wonderful about it is you can actually speak to a person who will help you with this whole process. So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome. And they have other avenues there. Voices of America, if you want to put it in audio, they collaborate with them to get it in audio for you. In addition to that, they do have a way of uploading your books into a print format, even though they don't do print format right now. And then you'll have that ready to take to whomever you go to, whether it be Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whomever.
Well, they're all already on Amazon, and I am currently uploading them to Ingram Spark as well.
Yeah, and also before you go to Ingram Spark, you want to make sure anything you haven't done, you do the Draft to Digital first for the ebook.
Yes.
The print book, obviously, you can do anything. But the ebook, because why wouldn't you want more royalty, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the next book that's coming out, or the one. Are you here to promote the Devil, Angels, and Demons, or Devouring Time, or both?
Both.
Okay. Well, give us a little bit of both. Give us a synopsis.
Okay. Well, Devouring Time. I don't know why I started writing it. I wanted to write a story about a family, and it just grew into this mystery where a relative of theirs from England brings a package that holds some hereditary gold mine, and they all believe. They wait to open this package, and the family comes together, and they're all involved in the art world. One's an artist, collector, insurance, legal, and they all work with each other in the art world. And somebody is murdered, and you have to wait and see who did it.
Wow. Okay. So what about The Devil, Angels, and Demons?
That was the book that was a dream that I woke up and wrote for 4 months.
All right.
It is completely magical. There are people have died, and they're being imprisoned in lockers by a demon. And this woman finds the secret cavern and saves the souls, but she's battling a demon. She battles the devil, and she falls in love with one of the souls she's saving. And each soul is taken back to a place in Canada, providing a lot of Canadian history. One's a nun that was died from typhoid when that was brought into Canada. Another person came from out west during a time when England was asked to come and farm the New World of Canada in the 1930s. So they all come from different places in Canada. That's part of the story. Part of the story, well, is the devastation of mental illness.
So do any of your dreams, do any of your books come from dreams? You had mentioned the one.
I don't know. They all come from somewhere within me. I mean, people have asked me, who's my muse? Where do I get my inspiration? And I have to honestly say it's from myself.
Well, you are well traveled, and I'm a believer in dreams. I actually have created a lot of work based on dreams that I've written. So there is a lot of power in that. And oftentimes I think it's because we've either heard of or run across something when we were in our travels that jar something in us to create that and make it more than it was, or elaborate on it.
Each book has a purpose, okay? The Devil, Angels, and Demons was a dream. Devouring Time was just a writing exercise I had. And I had a friend who designed clothes for TV and movies. And I told her about each character, and she dressed them for me.
Wow.
So that's the fun part of that book. Sister Innocent is a murder mystery that sets place in a law firm, but deals with legal secretaries and not lawyers. I was a legal secretary off and on for 9 years, and I got tired of reading books about lawyers, and I wanted to hear about the assistants, the legal secretaries. So I always had in my mind, this idea of writing a book about legal secretaries, but I needed a plot. And then I thought back to how much I really didn't like these women because of the way they treated me. So how does an author get back at people she doesn't like?
She writes that.
She brutally stabs them to death.
All right. And that's the great thing, is it can be in an imaginary world, so you don't have to do it in real life.
No, I never kill, but I tend to kill off characters sometimes, and I really enjoy doing that.
Well, sometimes in a novel, depends on what type of novel, it's a necessity in order to continue the story or keep it moving. Whether people fall in love with the character. I had one character I wrote about, and everyone said, "Why did you kill her off?" And it's, well, because that was part of the way the storyline went. It wouldn't have. It emphasizes what was necessary for the story to move forward. So
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So you also volunteer a lot. It says you volunteer at the Bradford General Hospital, the SPCA, and the Grand River Community Center. So I'm sure when you're volunteering, you see many different things, especially with the different places you go to. I'm sure that helps a lot when you're a writer.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what I love about volunteering. You can do anything you want. I volunteer on the cardiology ward. I haven't taken a nursing course. I don't have a nursing degree. I'm not allowed to touch the patients, but I get to work like a nurse.
Yeah.
I get to go from patient to patient, see if they need anything. I do errands for the nurses. So I'm doing things that I get to do make believe.
And you get to see how it really, the function of the whole thing is. I mean, think about how great that is if you go to write a novel and you have a hospital scene. You know what goes on.
I do have a hospital scene in the third book of my sci-fi series, Through the Sphere. One of the characters develops diabetes, and I've read up on it, and of course I've been to a hospital. So I would never write a hospital novel. There's too many doctors doing that, and I can't compete.
Right.
So it would be just a scene or something. And yes, I have used the hospital. The book I'm writing now is a murder mystery that takes place in a community center, which is sort of like the Grand River. And
yeah,
it takes, and oh yes, and the subplot is the importance of volunteering. I'm hoping people will read my book, love the mystery, but put it down and say, I should volunteer somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. We talked about, when I spoke with you last week, I believe it was, we talked about coaching. And how did your writing lead you into the coaching?
I have 3 editors. I have a developmental editor whom I go through the book chapter by chapter. I have a copy editor who reads the book when it's completed, and then I have a proofreader who reads through my books after the other two editors have finished and I've made all the corrections. As I said, I have 11 books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you have 3 editors for each book, you get to learn something.
Yeah.
I think my writing has improved greatly because every time I have it edited, I go back over it myself. So I'm learning. And the thing is that with the writing group, a few people are stuck. They have problems, they have questions, and I seem to have a good answer for them that helps them.
Well, I think you were exactly right. I know when I wrote my first novel, I probably didn't have the knowledge necessary to formulate a true syntax the way it needed to be for the novel. But every time you get something back that's edited and you go over it, and as authors, one, you should be involved in the editing process as far as making your corrections. And two, you better be paying attention to what's going on when it comes back, because that is how you learn. I think you're wasting your time if you pay someone to do all your editing and you do nothing. You definitely need to be reading it and going over and the changes that were made.
When I get the editor's note back, no matter which editor it is, I read it over first line by line, then paragraph, and then I go back to read word by word. Because the thing is it happens to authors. That's why you need editors. Because you read something and you read to go, but you only write go because you say to go, but you don't write it.
Well, we're typing so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I go over things painstakingly after an editor has sent me their notes.
Well, not only that, but even the editor can make a mistake. I mean,
sure.
I've had them do strike-throughs where they'll be going to the store and there'll be 2 there because they forgot to mark out the one. And if you correct it and you don't see that, then you've got 2 of them in a row.
Yeah.
So, it's important as the author to always go over what the editor sends you.
Always. I'm pedantic about it. And as I said, I've learned. I know through my own writing. And I have a few sites that I review books, and then I can upload my books on the site. So I've had the opportunity of reading other authors and knowing what's wrong and what can improve it. I'm not saying I'm not charging a lot for my services because I'm not a professional. I have a degree in English literature. I have written for newspapers and articles, but I think there are so many methods out there to teach people to write. But I think it's individual. I think you use all the methods depending upon the writer, how they write, what they write, and why they write it. And methods can only help so far. I think you need individual attention. I think you need someone to read over what you've written and tell them specifically what needs to be improved, what can be done here.
Right. So what's interesting is that I've done coaching as well, and I think that's a great thing in that we finally reach a point in our lives when we've written enough that we feel like, okay, now let's just pass it on. Let's share this with the knowledge we've acquired with someone else. And some people say, well, what makes you think you're the expert? Well, we're not the experts, but we certainly can guide people. I didn't have any guidance when I started out. I had no one to help me formulate the book, put it all together. I depended completely on the editors for that first novel. And it's nice when you can share what you've done and the process you've gone through to get there, so they don't have to do that. It just makes it so much easier.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not an expert, but I know what makes a book. I know what to do when you get into a hard spot. I can get you thinking a different way that maybe will help you continue writing. I don't... as I said, there are books and books and books of methods out there. And I believe that if anybody wanted to send me the work, I'd be happy to read the first chapter for free. and give them advice. And if they like my advice and think it helps, then we can work together. If they don't like my advice and don't think I can help them, then no harm done.
So where can we learn about what you do?
I did write a blog about it on my website. It's the last blog that's up there that explains a little bit of what I do.
So what is your website?
www.pattylesser.com.
And that's Lesser.
Opposite of greater, lesser
Lesser.
than two evils.
Right, that's easy to remember. And your books are available on Amazon.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so they can go to Amazon.com and just put in Patty Lesser.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Patty, thank you so much for being on the show today. I wish you the best of luck with your future endeavors. Thank you so much for being on the show. And this is your host, James Kelly, reminding you, if you can dream it, you can write it. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Aspects of Writing. We hope you will join us next week as we discuss every aspect of the writing industry. Until then, if you can dream it, you can write it.